Hey there guys, it is Dan. It's been a little bit since I uploaded an actual video blog type thing. It's pretty slow at work, but there's always something to do. Right now I am folding shirts and listening to old army marching tunes from World War I and World War II because it's something that I enjoy doing even when I'm not folding shirts. I enjoy history. And it just kind of listening to some of the songs and stuff like that, it got my brain just thinking about the past and like what ifs. Sometimes you don't end up where you think you're going to end up, right? And you have goals, like you think, like, what did you want to be when you were a kid, right? What did you want to be when you were a kid? And when I think of that question, I know exactly what the answer is. I want to be Lieutenant Dan. That's all I wanted to do. Lieutenant Dan, Lieutenant Dan, Lieutenant Dan. I wanted to be Lieutenant Dan Holwerda Jr. That was the goal. My parents are Air Force. We have a long historied military tradition in high school. That's all my focus was on. It wasn't on football, it wasn't on baseball, it wasn't on anything. I tried all those different sports, played some of those different sports. The thing that got me up in the morning, the thing that I was known for all throughout high school was military, 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 military. I did JROTC all through high school. All through high school. JROTC was life. That's who I ate lunch with. That's who I hung out with. That's what I spent every waking moment doing and thinking, was preparing myself for my military career. And I ended up getting a scholarship right out of high school. So I went right out of high school into the senior ROTC program. So the Reserve Officer Training Corps. So and met some folks that I still have great relationships with today. And so had my scholarship through them. And I did 2 years. I did 2 years as a cadet at the University of North Dakota, and that did not end the way I wanted to. So, because one of the things that you could do is, if you were already enrolled in the officer candidate program, you could then get enlisted through the National Guard. So you could do that. You can go enlisted. You go through MEPS, do all that stuff. And you could continue your education. So there were several cadets who had went and done that, and they were just like, oh yeah, we get $1,000 bonus if you sign on. You still get to stay here and do your stuff. There's a couple extra weekend things that you get to do, but they're lenient because we're already in this program. And I'm just like, okay, hey, get started with the military career a little bit earlier than I thought, like formally. Hey, that sounds like a great idea. This is going to be fantastic. And so at the time, some of those students, what they were doing was the bonus that they got for signing up someone else, they were cutting it in half. So they were giving it to each other. Like, hey, all right, I got you in, but hey, listen, this bonus I'm actually going to give you half. So they're giving us an incentive to join too, which is kind of cool. I'm like, hey, a couple extra $100, right on. I mean, I'm already going this route, right? I've got the scholarship. We're doing this. Let's go. And so I went through that program, got down there, sergeant brought me down and stuff like that. And my dad and his Air Force buddies were super excited because this is all I ever wanted to do. This was the thing that me and my dad were going to have in common, was career military service. Like that was the dream. That was the dream, the goal, all of it. And obviously that didn't happen. And here's why. I'm not going to say everything that they do at MEPS. If you want to find out what they do, I don't know, watch a YouTube video or go there. It's possibly changed, but they do have the Skivvy Olympics, and that's when it's a bunch of dudes in their underwear doing different things that the doctors and staff tell you to do. And so, back and forth, you do all these different movements, things like that. And what they're looking for is anomalies. Well, I have an anomaly during one of the movements, which I won't say which, but it had to do with how my feet moved in that movement. And they noticed that, I had flat feet, which wasn't anything we hid or anything like that. So they say, oh yeah, the flat feet can keep you out of the Army. It 100% can keep you out of the Army. It is a thing. But what they did was they sent me to a foot specialist, is what they sent me to. So they got me in a couple hours. So we had to stay in Fargo a lot longer than normal. And so that made Sarge a little bit nervous. That's how it goes. And so you get there, and he does some scans, x-rays, things like that, has him do a couple other movements, and then he sits me down, and it's me and Doc, and we're in the room, and he goes, did you know that you have spastic flat feet? And I'm like, what's spastic flat feet? And now I'm getting even more nervous about different things. I was already a little anxious, and now I'm even more worried about what's going on. And he says, so in my left leg, in my left leg. Not doesn't happen in my right, but in my left. So I'm flat-footed on both feet. Flat-footed on both feet, but in one of them is spastic. And what that means is when I stand up, I cut off circulation in my ankle and my leg. So when I have my knee, when I'm doing a lot of extra activity and stuff like that, I get these pains in my feet, and over a while, my leg seizes up. And that's something that had happened during PT a couple times, but I always was able kind of like to suck it up. It's just the extra pain, and then eventually it goes numb, and you just fight through it. Once my body cooled down, like after work, after training, stuff like that, being in class, then I'd have kind of this old man's limp a little bit. And I always really just kind of fought through it. That was like my thing. It's like, oh, I'll just fight through it. I'll get through it. So, yeah, that ended up putting me in a position where now medically they're saying you can't join the military at all. And so there wasn't any medical exemption that I could apply for that was revealed to me at that time. So it was really just a blow to the gut. Everything that I wanted to do was now crashed, and I had a horrible year after that. I think it was third semester that happened, so it really wasn't like a full 2 years. I did three-ish years, and then semester 4, which was the worst year of my college experience at all, because I was just in a complete fog, in daze, and absolutely lost with myself. And my mom says it took me about a year to really get out of that. And so I don't know, I felt like it was important to share this story today for some reason about where my journey started and ended very, very quickly. And it's one of the things that I used to regret a lot. I had even tried to be a little slick and join some other branches, which once they run your name and your social security number, all that comes up in the system across the branches. So try to join the Marines, try to join the Air Force, try to join the I think, was it the Reserve? It was a different recruiter office that I went to too. And so it's always the same. It's like, nope, can't do it. And so after I got through all right, I've exhausted every avenue that I know of, I had to accept the realization that, okay, this isn't what I've been called to do, I guess. This isn't where I'm going to go. And so a friend of mine named Kindu Hardy, he's the one who really spoke breath and life and realization to me. He's a professor at UND, an art professor, great dude, very big on African American art. He's focalized on that type of imagery and artistry. Very good guy. I have not been able to track him down at all. I lost his number at some point, maybe a decade ago, and just never been able to get rekindled with him. Haven't found him anywhere. So if you know that guy, I'd love to talk with him because he changed my life. Yeah, and he kind of said, you are called for something greater. He was a religious man, but he also saw this tenderness that I had. And me and him were working the dairy department at Walmart at the time, and we'd go on break together, and we'd have a lot of conversation. We spent a lot of time next to each other, which is cool. He's a great dude. He always said he was working his grind. He was this professor, and then he'd work overnight because he and his wife were going to pay off debt and move down south. So, and that happened. I know that happened. I know he moved. And yeah, so that made it much harder to get back in touch with him. And anyway, he says, change your goal is to serve your country. Well, they won't let you do that. Okay, so serve your community. And it's like, yeah, serve my community. I can do that. I can serve my community. So I thought about becoming a cop, but that just didn't appeal to me. I wanted to move away from uniforms. Well, he ended up telling me about Development Homes, the company that takes care of people with mental disabilities that I've worked for the last 11 years. And so that's where my life went directed. It became directed towards helping as many people in my community as I can, through ministry, through direct care, through in any way that I can. And so that's why I am the way I am. Why I'm so community driven, so empathetic driven, is because of that journey. And my heart still aches sometimes. I think about, well, what if? And there was an opportunity to join the chaplaincy program last year. I was approached by that and was seriously in conversation with a couple officers about that. And I had to have a strong conversation with my wife and my dad and a couple friends that are in the military currently, and a few that were out. It was something I did very much in private, and I said, hey, this childhood dream has opened back up. What do you think? And every single person basically was unanimously like, no, 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 nope, nope. Lots of different stories, reasons, things that I'm called to, things that they knew I wasn't called to. And I never was like, oh yeah, I'm ready to sign. Like, this is what I'm going to do. It was a what if exploration, right? Like, this is my other opportunity to get back in. And, to relive those childhood days. And ultimately, I'm glad that I didn't go that route. I'm glad that I listened to all of you, that I brought into that circle, into that conversation, because I am the happiest I've ever been. The happiest I've ever been career-wise. And so, thank you. Thank you. And that's my story. That's where it ends. Unless something really crazy happens and we're like attacked. I've told my wife that. If we have another like World War II-esque moment where it's like, like a Pearl Harbor, like serious, that the country's going to be invaded, like directly, homeland's going to be bombed type situation, like against a major power, unless that happens, there's no risk of me looking back at that. I don't know if I would even under that, but I mean, my patriotism would say that I need to help somehow, so I'd figure out a way to help somehow, even if it's locally. Anyway, that's a story. And yeah, so I get really weird, all these mix of emotions. I never claim to, I'm a guy with military knowledge and background, but I am not military. I'm not a veteran or anything like that. I don't claim that. I was born on Veterans Day. My parents were military. I've got memories, I've got experience and things that I've gone through that are very military-esque, but yeah, never got to be the soldier that I wanted to be. And so I'm here doing what I love to do. Fitness and faith. It's things I love to do. Anyway, this has been almost a 15-minute break. Not yet. So I've got to get back to work. And I'm going to probably upload. Yep, I think this one's getting uploaded. All right, anyway, have a good day, everyone. Stay good, and don't forget to smile, because today is gonna be a great day.